Welcome back to another video. Today we are not playing, sorry, talking about my favorite movies of the year. 2025 has been a very interesting year for movies, a very fun one, in fact. But today we're going to talk about my personal favorites. Now, I did not get to see every movie that I would have liked to see in 2025. That's for sure. I did definitely not on the level compared to 2023. I saw like 60 new movies that year. We have I think I logged about 30 this year. A lot of the movies that I watched was going back and watching stuff that I'd never seen before. So yeah, but I did get to see some new movies, and um, I would like to talk about them. Let's start here. Let's start with our dishonorable mentions. These are movies that either flat out weren't good or were a disappointment. Um, and there's only one of those disappointments on here. G20, I came across on Prime Video one day. I was like, let me watch this, fully expecting it to not be good, and it wasn't. There is a line in this movie, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but there is a line in this movie that blows my mind every time I think about it. I'm gonna see if I could try and find it really quickly. There it is. It says, it's like you're from. It's like something something. You're from Wakanda. I'm like, that's crazy. That is an insane line to say, but okay. Um, next up, Minecraft. This movie just wasn't good. I think most of us didn't expect movie to be good. It wasn't. It was not a good movie, and that's perfectly fine. It was a bad movie, and that's okay. Um, War of the Worlds, man. I heard how bad this game was. Not this game. This movie was. Sorry, I had video games on mine. I heard about how bad this movie was, and then I watched it, and it somehow was worse. This was the worst movie that I watched this year. Somehow it was worse. I can't explain it. It is a movie that you gotta go watch. It is hilarious in that regard. But it is terrible. It's insanely bad. I can't believe this movie got it was even released. I don't know, man. Like sometimes this format works. I think Missing was a really good movie that you should go watch. Is a better. It takes this concept, this format that War of the Worlds uses, and just does it significant. It's so much better. But yeah, this movie was. Yeah. Lastly, this is a disappointment one, and I kind of expect I don't know if I would call it a disappointment because I expected to be disappointed by it, but I still wanted to talk about it. Wicked for Good is kind of in the same position as Wicked when it came out last year, where I watched it and I was disappointed. I think in regards to the first movie, the first half of Wicked, while I understand is set up, it's okay set up. The first half of the movie is also extremely boring, whereas the second half of the movie is really good. It's really good. It balances out. It's like a 6 out of 10 for me. Wicked for Good is somehow worse. Wicked for Good, I think the entire movie is weird and disjointed. There are certain character dynamics that just do not feel believable. Certain choices that they made. And I get it. Wicked is essentially one big fan fiction, but I'm still not the biggest fan of certain character choices that were made compared to the old school Wizard of Oz. And I think the music wasn't as good as the first one. Um, I think there were like maybe two or three songs in here that I remember fondly enjoying in the theater. But otherwise, I was like, yeah, this isn't that good. And I know that the whole thing is Wicked for Good isn't as good as or Wicked Act Two isn't as good as Wicked Act One. But even then, man, it's still bad. It's still not good. Actually, well, not good isn't the word I would say to describe this. It's like perfectly mid. It is okay. It is like a 5 out of 10. It's not as it's not horrible. It's not like these, but it's not good. So yeah, and then honorable mentions. I want to talk about these just because I wanted to at least mention them in some way, shape, or form. Wake Up Dead Man, Frankenstein, Fantastic Four. Frankenstein was a movie that I think is beautiful. It is a stunning looking movie. But ultimately, I think granted, I have not read the original book, so I don't know if it's entirely accurate to to Mary Shelley's original book. But yeah, the story just didn't do too much for me, or at least it didn't capture me like I would have wanted to. Fantastic Four was the first. Is the first. This is the first good Fantastic Four movie. As much as I enjoy Rise of the Silver Surfer, that movie is not good, but I do enjoy it. This is a guilty pleasure of mine. This is the first good Fantastic Four movie. It is a great looking movie. It's a great sounding movie. Um, it is. I think it's overall a really really good Marvel movie. The problem is that I think there's like 20 or 25 minutes missing from it. There's like 20 or 25 minutes that are clearly missing from this movie, and the movie would benefit from that. I think if the movie had that extra 25 or so minutes, it would be significantly better, probably higher up on this list. Lastly, Wake Up Dead Man. This movie is great. Is my second favorite Knives Out movie behind the original. I think the murder mystery in itself is, I think, the best that we've done in the franchise so far. My issue with this movie, or the biggest issue, is the side characters. Some of these side characters are not used well at all. Like I like Kaylee Spaney. I she doesn't do anything the entire movie. There are certain characters in here that just don't do anything the entire movie, and I'm not a big fan of that. Josh O'Connor gives a phenomenal performance. Daniel Craig, like all these people give like great performances, but there's certain people here that I'm just like, yeah, we realistically could have cut it out, and the story would have been the same, and that's what disappoints me about it. All right, now it's the actual list. Number 10, K-pop Demon Hunters. I didn't expect to enjoy this movie as much as I did. I've gone on the record. I'm not gone on the record to say, but like I've always kind of felt this way. Animation just doesn't appeal to me as much. For just I don't know if it's I don't know I couldn't explain why. It's kind of a personal thing, or just like an inherent thing. I don't know, but I really really did enjoy this movie. That's not to say I don't love anime. I do not like animation. I do really really enjoy animation. It just doesn't appeal to me as much as other types of movies, right? Batman, Under the Red Hood, Silent Voice, like a lot of these anime movies are just otherwise animated. Into the Spider-Verse, all great movies, right? Let me just get that out of the way. And the story of this movie is really good. One thing that I think kind of brings this down a little bit is it kind of has the same issue as Fantastic Four, where there's like 20 or 25 minutes cut from this movie that it could really benefit from, but otherwise I think this movie is still great. The characters were surprisingly likable. The songs were great. People focus on Golden a whole bunch, and yes, Golden is a great song, but what it sounds like is, I personally was my favorite song from that movie. I thought that sound was great. I loved it. And overall, it's a very fun movie. I'm excited to see where they go with this, in quotation, because it is now franchise, in the future. It's a stunning looking movie, pretty good story, great songs, and as I said, I'm not a K-pop fan. I'm not a K-pop person at all. But this is a good one. This is a good movie. Next up, Predator: Badlands. I kind of expected this movie to be good. I didn't expect it to be this good for me. I watched Prey a couple years ago when it came out. That was my first Predator movie that I ever watched, and I loved it. I went back and watched the original. Loved it. I went back and watched one other movie that I didn't really enjoy that much. I can't remember which one. It might have been 2018. Oh boy. But Predator: Badlands is probably it's definitely a top 3 Predator movie for me. It is different, a story from the perspective of the Predator. It is a cool looking movie, a cool sounding movie. It's genuinely just not non-stop fun the entire way through. I made a full quick review on this. There's a variety of these movies on this list that I made quick reviews on. They're on my channel. But this movie, Al Fanning is great in it. Just go watch this movie. It's great, and it's done a really, this has been a really good year for Predator as a franchise. This movie came out, Predator: Killer of Killers, which didn't make the list in any way, shape, or form, unfortunately. But that is still a really good movie. Predator: Killer of Killers. Both of these movies are great, and I cannot wait to see where we carry the Predator mythos, Predator franchise in the future. Materialists. All right, I saw Celine Song's first movie, Past Lives. Past Lives ended up being one of my favorite movies, my top 3 favorite movies of 2023. Loved it, adored it. That movie is great. This movie is not as good, but it's still really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Um, I've always kind of I've never really been the biggest fan of Dakota Johnson as an actor. She seems like a fun personality like outside of the which, but the stuff that I have seen her in hasn't really made me be like, man, I want to see more of her and her acting. This doesn't make me feel like that. And Dakota Johnson is great in this movie. Genuinely, she's probably the best part, one of the best parts, if not the best part of the movie. Gives a great performance as as a very multi-layered character who has a lot of stuff going on, has a lot of issues, trauma, in quotation marks, trauma, if you will. I can't remember the movie off the top of my head exactly. Um, Chris Evans and Pedro Pascal doing a great job, and I overall really like the idea of like the title suggests, true love versus materialistic things in a relationship. I think is something I've been thinking about for the longest time, and so to see kind of my thoughts regarding a variety of relationships put into a movie like this, I think was really good. I don't know what in the world is going on in Celine Song and her husband's life, but honestly, if it gives me more of these types of movies, like this Challenger's Past Lives, if it gives me more of these types of movies, I'll take it. All right, 7, Thunderbolts. This movie made me cry, or got close to it. Um, the biggest thing for Thunderbolts for me is the cast and the characters, their dynamics with each other is all great, minus Taskmaster over there. But the biggest thing for me in regards to Thunderbolts was how it tackled mental health. Um, Mental health is a big thing for me. I would say I'd say I'm an advocate for mental health, even though I don't say it all. I don't know how to describe it, but it is a big thing for me. I always try and encourage people around me to take care of themselves. And it resonated. This movie resonated on me. This resonated with me on that regard. It's a movie that told me that I'm not. I'm going through. I was at the time, or even before then, I was going through a whole lot of stuff in my life the past couple of years, and telling me that you know, regardless of everything that's happened, you're not alone. You have people around you that do care about you. That's what I at least took away from this movie, and I loved it. This is I've said that this is a top 5 Marvel movie for me just because of that alone. I genuinely really enjoy Thunderbolts. This movie was chef's kiss, phenomenal. I loved it. I really did. Weapons. This was kind of my first dip into horror as a genre. Up until this year, I had never really been a big horror person. I never really liked it. I'd seen maybe a Scream movie in the past, Army of Darkness, which is barely a horror movie, and then I watched Sinners this year, which I would also not say is a horror, is barely a horror movie. We'll get to that later. Um, but yeah, so Weapons came out, and it was Weapons, and it was Resident Evil 9 when that got revealed. I was like, I want to play and watch this, right? And so I kind of started, either playing Resident Evil 4 and some other Resident Evil games, as well as watching some, lighter horror movies to prepare myself for seeing Weapons. And I was sitting in that theater. I had like a hoodie that like covered like one eye. I was scared, but I genuinely enjoyed it, and it's gotten me to watch some more horror movies. Um, this year, I got to watch Get Out for the first time, Barbarian, Insidious, Midsummer. Oh boy, uh, the It movies, the Babadook. This movie means a lot to me in that regard. In regards to a movie, I think this is a really good movie. I made a quick review on this, so you can go check that out. But in total, overall, the movie, I think its branching plot lines work really well. Some things are better than others, but the branching plot lines works really well when they converge back into each other at the end. And the mystery is really cool. Gladys, whoever the actress that plays Gladys, I think that's her name, is great in this movie, and it is very funny. It has a very funny sense of humor, and I think it's great. So yeah. Number 5, the latest movie to have come out on this list, Marty Supreme. I saw this movie. It's December 30th, so I would have seen it Saturday. It would have been the 28th, 27th. Sorry. Um, yeah, this movie ended up being great. One thing about the Safdie brothers, or just Safdie in general, is that I gotta learn how to go into these movies and expect to be stressed out. Like Good Time is a good example. I saw that movie for the first time way earlier this year, and that movie was stressful. That movie is horribly stressful, and this movie is the same. Talk about somebody that wants to dream big and isn't afraid to do whatever it takes to get there, even if it means bringing down other people around him or doing things that the average person probably wouldn't do. And I don't like him for it, but you gotta respect it at the same time. Somebody that's willing to do whatever it takes to get there. All the characters, all the actresses give phenomenal performances. Timothy Chalamet, I wouldn't be shocked if he won an Oscar for this. Odessa Zion is great. She's amazing in this movie. She does a great job. Kevin O'Leary wasn't expecting, Shark Tank whatnot. Wasn't expecting him to give a good performance. He does a really good, relatively good performance, all things considered. Um, Gwyneth Paltrow's great in most things that she's in, and Tyler the Creator, man, he's essentially playing like a souped up version of himself, but he does it so well. I was like, maybe this Tyler guy could be famous one day. I'm joking, but he does it so well. If he had more screen time, he'd probably end up being my favorite character of the entire movie. But yeah, go watch Marty Supreme. This movie is phenomenal. Sorry, baby. Oh boy, this movie made me upset. From here on out, every movie I think I gave a 10 out of 10. Um, this movie made me upset just because I can kind of relate to what's going on. Not in regards to the big twist of the movie, not in that regard, but in I can relate to being stuck while everything is moving around me. Everything is moving forward around me. Um, when something happens in your life, something traumatic happens in your life, um, and you try to move on from it while the world keeps spinning, it is very easy to feel stuck. And I think that Sorry Baby kind of it was like looking in a mirror. It's like seeing my own issues on screen, just there. And I was like, oh, this I feel uncomfortable. I felt really uncomfortable watching this movie, um, just because I saw myself in this movie, and I loved it. It is a great movie, great performances, great story, just great everything. But ultimately, the fact that it touched me in a way that made me feel uncomfortable, just because I'm essentially looking at what I see as myself. It kind of elevated the movie for me. I've been meaning to go watch this movie for a little while. Um, this in Sentimental Value, which I didn't get to watch, unfortunately. I'll have to figure that out. Been meaning to go watch this movie for a little while, but yeah, I'm really glad I did. I'm really glad I did. This movie is great. Top 3, Sinners. I was debating on this one because Sinners was going to end up at number 2 or 3. It wasn't going to number 1 because for reasons I'll get to. Sinners was going to number 2 or 3 for me because ultimately what Sinners does is, as an African American male, Sinners does a phenomenal job at portraying what makes our culture rich and great. It does a great job at showing why, you know, pretty much everybody steals our culture. Everybody steals stuff from us. Um, that one scene in the middle, it's just the most magnum opus. Like Ryan Coogler's magnum opus. It is a phenomenal scene. The story is great. Once again, it's another really good looking movie. I think this movie gets the horror label just because of vampires and whatnot. I don't really think it's a horror movie outside the snake jump scares because I'm terrified of snakes. I would highly recommend you see this movie. If at the very least you're like me and love where you come, that you love where you come from. You love the the people that are around you, and you love being involved with those people, and ultimately, I think the characters and the plot line, where the plot goes, a story of brothers, and it brings it bringing people together, and it just and tying back into religion in some aspects and whatnot. Just a really good movie. I think one thing that the reason why this movie didn't end up going higher was because I found this movie more consistent, and outside of that one scene, there was the best way to word this is, outside that one scene, I wouldn't say that, for me at least, I wouldn't. Okay, sorry. Outside that one scene, a couple of other things in there, I wouldn't say for me at least that I enjoyed it as much as the top two on this list. Once again, this movie is a 10 out of 10. I absolutely love it, but it's just truthfully a case of I love the other two movies on this list a bit more, personally speaking. Number two, One Battle After Another. I made a quick review on this one as well as weapons and sinners and whatnot, and the number one movie on the list. I was blown away by this movie. This is the first time I've watched a Paul Thomas Anderson movie. I've been meaning to get around to one of his movies for a little while, and this movie was great. I'm trying to look at the notes that I have written down here before for this, so I'm just not I'm not just rambling. This movie did so much for me. I love the message it conveys. I love the character arcs and the character dynamics. The score, oh my goodness, the score is amazing, and the performances. Car chase is great, but back to the performances. Leonardo DiCaprio does great. Ultimately, I don't think he steals the show like a normal Leo performance would, but he is great for what the role requires. Sean Penn is, Sean Penn is phenomenal. Sean Penn is amazing. Benicio del Toro is amazing. Regina Hall is pretty good in the movie. I don't think she does as much for me as these other characters, but she's pretty good in the movie. Tiana Taylor is amazing. Chase Infinity is outstanding. Put her in literally everything. Her first time performance as well. Yeah, put her in literally everything. I would highly recommend going and watching One Battle After Another. It is a 2-hour and 45-minute masterpiece, and it doesn't even feel like that. It feels like it goes by in the blink of an eye. It is crazy. Just gotta go watch it. Number one, to not my surprise at least, number one is Superman. Listen, this movie has its issues for sure, but I think ultimately what does it for me is Superman is a movie that makes me happy. It is a movie that makes me smile every time I've watched it. Growing up as a comic book fan, as a DC fan specifically, I like Marvel a lot, I really do, but I was more of a DC kid growing up. So growing up as a DC fan, I was so happy to see this movie. This is like the modern Superman movie that I used to dream of, because even as a kid I knew, Zack Snyder's Superman wasn't Superman, if you get what I'm saying. It's still a good movie. I think it's a good movie. There's some very glaring issues with that movie, regardless of if it's a good movie or not. But I still think it's a good movie. It's just not a good Superman movie. This is the modern Superman that I've wanted. Something that mixes not the look, but the action and modern filmmaking aspects of Zack Snyder's Superman, as well as what makes the original Christopher Reeve Superman great. The heart, what Superman is supposed to be, what Superman is supposed to do as a character, in the comics as well. And it just does that with amazing. It does that amazingly. There's, like I said, there's some things in there. The Krypton backstory is, I don't hate it as much as a lot of other people do, but ultimately I do think it is a little bit weird. But yeah, growing up as a DC fan,
this is the Superman I've wanted to see. It's like the Batman when it came out a couple of years. This is the Batman movie I wanted to see. This is the Superman movie that I've wanted to see. It's the Superman movie I've always wanted. Um, yeah, go watch it. It's great. Action, all the characters, the performances. David Corenswet is like amazing as Clark and Superman. I don't know if I wouldn't say I have to see more of him. I wouldn't say he's my favorite Superman actor. There's only one movie, so we have to see more of him, but he's definitely up there. Tyler Hoechlin and Christopher Reeve are phenomenal as Superman. Tom Welling's also great. And that's not even including animation. And then Lois Lane is just like Rachel Brosnahan is just Lois Lane and ripped out of the pages. Nicholas Hoult is probably the best Lex Luthor we've ever gotten. I don't think that's controversial to say. He's amazing. He's great. He's just great in the role. There's nothing more to say about that. And then every other character, they're all played really well. There's some performances that are better than others. Mr. Terrific is phenomenal. I think Mr. Terrific is amazing. But ultimately, I'm very excited for the DCU. It's a movie that I love. It's a movie that's making me excited for the future. I can't wait for Supergirl. Can't wait for Lanterns, Clayface, Man of Tomorrow. Can't wait for all of it. This is what I wanted in a Superman movie, and I'm so happy it exists. That's it for the video. I'm actively losing my voice. I've been talking nonstop for 26 minutes. Next time I do a longer video, we're gonna have to cut it down. I'm gonna have to either split up the recording session or whatnot. I don't know, but it cannot be this long because I'm about to lose my voice. Thank you for watching. I got a video game video just like this coming out tomorrow. 2 of them actually. So I'll see you then. Thank you for watching. See ya. Bye.